Spread your shelter of peace over us, over all your people Israel, and over Jerusalem. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukkot shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukkot shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael. Ve'al Yerushalayim ve'al kol amo. Ve'al Yerushalayim shalom. Ve'al Yerushalayim ve'al kol amo. Ve'al Yerushalayim shalom. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukkot shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael.
Because we, from an educational standpoint, the South has lagged behind in Holocaust remembering educational-wise versus the North, where my grandfather, actually both sides are Ashkenazi on my family, so it affected us a lot. Not every victim was a Jew, but every Jew was a victim.
I was from Pop-Up said that.
And my grandfather put that into his speech, his memoir. He was on a tour of one in the late 80s and the early 90s, giving a speech, a first account memoir to middle schoolers and high schoolers. It was like required education, and it should be, and I want to do him proud as well, so I wish I would have prepared something a little bit more, said something fancy like fourscore, and actually fourscore is 80 years ago, was the heart of the Holocaust. You're in the middle of the 1943, it would put us right in the middle of a time that is fitting that I am honored to talk about it. I think it's also fitting that the reading here that we were doing coincided with his yard side. I think it coincided with the Egypt, the speech of the Exodus that Jan, you showed us. Sometimes it might be hard to think of the great miracles that were done, but something under 100 years ago, when it hits closer to home again, every Jew was a victim. So we can kind of think of the great miracles, and the great testament to be alive. After the Exodus, we got the Torah. So a lot of times the dips in life, you can see, fruit grows in the valley. I've heard that before. Sometimes when you're at the top of the world, you don't see and you're not appreciative of all the good that's around. There is that account that I referenced of my grandfather, Robert Weil, and thank you for including him in that. I have his memoir that I want, and I feel obligated to get it out there. It is beautiful because he takes a love thy neighbor approach to what happened. And you can easily go into a depressive state. There's not a lot of happy, stories, but there's a lot of just miraculous stories for the survivors. After he got out, he was in Dachau, and my great grandfather perished in a concentration camp. But after he got out, he actually fought for 4.5 years in the U.S. Army and earned a Bronze Star, some French. That's his background, was in France and Germany. Earned some awards as well, and just as a inspiration to me. And then on my dad's side, they were more in the Poland area, again, Ashkenazi. That area was very, very affected. So they lived underground in a cave for like 2 years, and there's a Netflix and a YouTube video that I can write these down after, or someone can text my mom and I'll get you both, because it's just a blessing to be able to have accounts, because not everybody had publications or anything like that they can kind of reference and see the good in there. But education-wise, also, North Carolina, I said, and the South kind of lags behind the North. My grandfather gave the tours in Pennsylvania area, which there's just more Jewish people than in the South, so they made it part of the education. But we got a grant. North Carolina got a grant a year ago, and the guy's name was like Abramson. I can't think of his first name, but he got $400,000 for 2 years, so $200,000 education grant to really spread it into the schools. And I didn't really do too much other than I was on the listserv, and the listserv has maybe 80 people on it to get that grant money in there. So I do like the trending up of the educational piece, because it's important. Never forget. It'll prevent that from happening again. And I did when I will say when I read the account of my grandfather, it really opened up a spiritual connection, blessings, and I was able to kind of have my first kind of encounter with Hashem. I asked a question and I got an answer, and it was wild. And it's been wild since then, but so I think there's blessings for everybody who kind of dives into something that's the hardest to explain. My rabbi, outside of here, he's Sephardic, and he's like, and he's my age too. And he's like, that's the hardest questions I get are about the Holocaust. And so having the connection that I've had, and being able to get closer to my religious roots and my spiritual roots through it, there are blessings in the valley. So I just want to remember Robert and remember both sides of my family. And then again, I'm sure there are some victims. Every Jew was a victim. So I just want to, in the other side, piece, to just remember everybody.
Thank you, Geoff.
Thank you.
Amen. Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kishon b'mitzvot ve'atzavanu, v'shabbat kodsham, v'ahava u'ratzon yinhavanu, zikaron v'maaseh v'reishi, tihu yam tehillah, Lemikra Kodesh, Zeker L'Tziat Mitzrayim, Kivanu Maharta, Yotanu Hidashta, Mikol Hamim, V'Shabbat Kodshecha, Yimchaltanu, Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat L'chaim. Good job.